Hi everyone, today on my channel we've got Keyan Carlisle joining us. Woo!
Hello.
And today I'm going to be walking him through the Disney Channel original movie Prom Pact, which came out a little while ago.
I'm embarrassed to say I'm the only person who's never seen the newest Disney Channel original Prom Pact, but I'm glad that you're here to enlighten me, finally.
So first of all, let's introduce you to the main characters. Pretty much, there's only 4 that you really need to concern yourself with. The first is Mandy. She kind of has a not like the other girls vibe, very academic focused. She wants to get into Harvard. She's really like aiming low here. Then we've got Ben. His nickname is No Nuts Plunkett because he's allergic to nuts.
He looks like Shia LaBeouf if you squint / close your eyes.
His main thing is that he's Mandy's best friend, golden retriever vibes. Then we've got LaToya. She's the class president, cheerleader. Her thing is that she's popular but nice. Then we have Graham, captain of the basketball team, player, from a wealthy family and powerful family. So he's like little rich boy over here. My first question to you, just right off the bat, is who do you think is gonna end up together? We have Mandy and Ben, who's the friends to lovers. We have Mandy and Graham, enemies to lovers. Love triangle chaos, or Mandy and LaToya, one-sided pining. But here's the thing, only one of these is true.
So Disney Channel loves to do their love triangles. It's you know, hands down one of their favorite shapes. I enjoy enemies to lovers, so I think I'm kind of rooting it for it to be that one. It's the best trope. Like sometimes I'll see people on my Instagram feed be like, oh, I'm so happy in this relationship. It's like, shut up. You did not start hating each other's guts. That's not real love.
Shut up, get toxic, start fighting.
Yeah, exactly, exactly, you get it. I'm gonna say enemies to lovers.
So that's your guess. You'll just have to wait and see. As the title would imply, the big event of the year is prom. Did you have a prom? Did you go to prom? What were the vibes?
All right, my senior year, there was a minor coronavirus, and so I didn't get a prom, but my junior prom, yes, it was on May 4th or maybe May 5th, and I remember like all the nerds were like trying to make it a Star Wars prom, and then all the stuck-up ASB people were like, no, it's just gonna be, I don't even know what the theme was. It was not memorable, that's all I can tell you. So I brought a bunch of lightsabers, and me and the boys, we had a big lightsaber fight.
So, basically, Mandy and Ben, the BFFs. Every Friday night, they have this ritual where they go to the bookstore, then the movies, then to this diner to get waffles. Every Friday night, that's what they do.
Very rigid, I'm glad they stick to that.
And one day, during said ritual, Ben expresses to Mandy that he wants to be like the Everests, which is their name for popular people in high school because that's where they peak. Mandy, however, doesn't really care about that, but to make him feel better, she asks him to prom by writing prom on like the little napkin place thingy with ketchup, where she promises that they will go to prom together. Okay? That's the prom pact.
They made a prom pact to pick up on that.
So, the other big thing that's happening in this movie is that Mandy really wants to get into Harvard, and she sent in her application and everything, but at the beginning of this movie, she ends up getting waitlisted, and she thinks this is the end of her life. But since all hope is not lost, she's trying her best to get off of the waitlist. So, she goes and seeks help from her guidance counselor, and her guidance counselor is like, hey, you need a really fancy letter of recommendation. Well, that's like probably like the shoo-in way to get in, or you could just use a regular letter of rec. But Mandy's like, oh no, I'm gonna go get a letter of rec from Graham's senator dad, who also happens to be a Harvard alum.
Does Graham's dad know her at all?
No, they've never spoken. Graham and her have, like, they don't really speak. They're not friends. This is off topic, but there's an interaction earlier on in this movie that we really need to address. Ben, he works at the local supermarket, and at the supermarket, he has a freshman coworker named Kyle. This is the exact interaction that they have verbatim. Kyle says, I bet you've never even hooked up with a girl, to which Ben replies, I've kissed a girl before, and Kyle says, kissed?
What are you, 9? I'm talking about your P in a V.
And it made me want to die.
It's always the fucking Kyles. I don't trust motherfuckers named Kyle. Why do you have that name? What are you hiding?
There's the rest of the world and then there's Kyle's. Okay, so after this interaction, obviously it was very traumatizing for Ben.
I don't have to prove anything to you.
You just did.
So what song do you think Mandy plays in order to cheer Ben up? What do you think his hype song is? We've got Don't Stop Believin', Happy, Shake It Off, or Believer.
These are all so dumb. And so they're all equally plausible. Shit. Happy. I had a very basic white person family in 2011 or whatever it was, so this song was on a lot in our car.
That was a good guess. But it's actually Believer by Imagine Dragons. That is Ben's canonical hype song. Believer! We have Mandy, who needs a letter of rec from Graham's dad. But she, like we have mentioned, does not know Graham whatsoever. Mandy ends up finding out that Graham needs an AP Psych tutor, and because Mandy is super smart, she's a girl boss, she has already taken AP Psych, she's like, wait, this is my in. Like, this, I'm gonna be his tutor. She finds out that Graham is going to this party, and she and Ben decide to crash this party in order to find Graham. Ben, at this party, tries all night to talk to LaToya, who he ends up having a crush on. Mandy has a moment, the moment we all know and love, where she's like, uh-oh, he's right behind me, isn't he? And
well, that just happened.
So she ends up calling him a Neanderthal. So she thinks her chances are a little bit crushed because she publicly called him a Neanderthal. However, Ben, he was eavesdropping on LaToya's conversation naturally and ends up finding out that Graham has to go to this like community garden function the next morning. Mandy and Ben decide to crash that event as well, and this is where Mandy really slides in, starts working her magic.
They're just like stalking this man because they eavesdropped on his conversation.
So Mandy and Graham, they're gardening together, and she's like, hey Graham, I've heard through the grapevine that you need help for your AP Psych class. So as an apology for calling you a Neanderthal earlier, let me tutor you. And naturally he's like, what's the catch? Because that's a weird long time service to offer as an apology. And she's like, no, there's no catch. I'm a nice person. And he was like, okay, sure, I believe that.
She said he was a Neanderthal because she was just concerned about his...
Yeah, it was a term of endearment.
Yeah.
Tutoring sessions start. So they start getting closer, Mandy and Graham. They're having a great time. Such a great time that people around the school are noticing them getting really buddy-buddy, to which one of the characters says that Graham has slid into Mandy's DMs with his eyes, whatever the fuck that means.
We're not the same. You're in her DMs, I'm in her eyes.
So it seems like your prediction from earlier is coming true, except they weren't really exactly enemies at first. There was very little enemies in this movie. It was mostly
from strangers to mildly annoyed to lovers.
One Friday, Mandy ends up telling Ben that she has to skip their Friday night ritual to go over to Graham's house and tutor him. When Mandy arrives at Graham's house, he greets her at the door shirtless, as one does, and he introduces her to their family's like wall of fame, where he has like a couple older brothers, I think, and there's like a picture wall of all of their accomplishments, and his only contribution to the wall of fame is a photo of his 5th grade graduation, which I think is less impressive than like a middle school graduation, but it's fine. Graham ends up inviting Mandy to their family dinner, but his dad is not in attendance at this dinner. So Graham's mom ends up inviting Mandy to this fundraiser because his dad is a senator, a politician. He's going to be at the fundraiser.
I inherently trust politicians. I'm sure Graham's dad is a great guy.
Mandy's like, yes, this is my chance. I'm gonna get the letter of rec, except, you know, she kind of has feelings for Graham. So it's a little bit of a conflict there, but you know what? We still kind of low-key want the letter. Now, what is Ben doing, you may ask? He ends up going to the movies with... Do you have any guesses?
Let me scroll up to remember her name. LaToya.
They end up coincidentally going to see the same movie, and you know what? They have a blast.
One time I went to watch Eternals, and with assigned seating, and just by sheer coincidence, I was sitting next to my friend's dad, Gary. So shout out to Gary. We didn't like that film.
Gary?
Yeah.
Now, it's the big day of the fundraiser, which also happens to be Ben's birthday. So Mandy now has to choose between Graham / the letter of rec and Ben. Who do you think she chooses?
Hold on, how many minutes are left in the movie? That's gonna determine my answer.
I'd say we're about 3/4 of the way in.
3/4? Ooh, that's enough time for more drama. I think she turns on her friendship, but in those last 15 minutes, she'll come to regret it, goddammit.
Yes, she chooses Graham. Not an ideal decision because it is, in fact, Ben's birthday, and his plan is to go eat alone at Olive Garden.
That's so sad.
But, luckily, you know who's free on Ben's birthday? LaToya! So she is the one who ends up going with Ben to the Olive Garden on his birthday. Mandy, like we've said, has the fundraiser. She gets all gussied up, but this is an important detail. Mandy does not bring her phone to the function because the bag that she was planning on putting it in does not match her dress.
It doesn't match her dress?
No. So, Mandy and Graham, they're full on acting like a couple. Holding hands, they share a slow dance, they even kiss.
Before marriage? Are you serious?
She's fully smitten now. He, you know, while he was kissing her, it seemed like he was fully smitten, but things take a turn. She runs into Graham's dad, has the opportunity to ask him for the letter of rec, but doesn't take it because she chooses Graham and love. But now here's the tea. Mandy overhears Graham's brothers talking about how they think that Graham only brought Mandy in order to impress his dad because earlier he spent all afternoon the other day with some girl that he used to hook up with in the basement. So now Mandy's like, oh my god, I've been played, I need to go home immediately.
So they were both using each other.
It appears that way, yes, except Mandy chose love and not the letter, and it seems like he's still playing her. So now I ask you, what do you think that Mandy does at this current moment of time? Walk home, that's option 1. Call her parents, option 2. Option 3, call Ben and interrupt his lovely birthday dinner / date with LaToya, or get an Uber.
I live for the drama. C. Easy.
Yes. Apparently, there's a landline at the function, and the only number that she knows, it's not her mom, not her dad, but Ben. So she calls up Ben at his birthday dinner, and she's like, Ben, I need you to come pick me up. And so he does, because he's a good friend. He ditches LaToya, leaves her to pay for his birthday meal at Olive Garden, and goes to pick Mandy up. It seems like Ben is being done dirty left and right because he consistently puts Mandy's friendship over LaToya, whereas Mandy puts her budding romance with Graham over her friendship with Ben. On the car ride home, Mandy was like, Ben, I'm so sorry that I did this to you. I'll make it up to you at prom, I swear. Prom pact lives on. So now Mandy is mad at Graham because she thinks he hooked up with some girl in the basement. LaToya is mad at Ben because he left her at Olive Garden. But suddenly, out of nowhere, Mandy gets called to the front office. Why do you think that is the case? It could be any reason.
I'm gonna say that the senator dad was just so impressed by her tutoring that he walked to the school by himself to sign her letter of recommendation because he was just so propelled by her good deeds to society.
That would have been great, but no. It was actually a whole big scheme orchestrated by Graham because he was promposing to her. He orchestrated this huge flash mob, and turns out the reason he was in the basement with that girl was because he was planning Mandy's promposal. He never hooked up with anybody. At this same current moment in time, Ben is simultaneously trying to patch things up with LaToya, and she ends up asking him to prom. Here's the thing. Mandy says yes. Ben says no because of the prom pact.
The titular prom pact.
So then Mandy and Ben meet up, obviously, to rehash what just went down, and Ben was like, wait, you said yes to Graham? And Mandy was like, yeah, duh. And he was like, well, what about the prom pact? And so they get into this whole big fight in the school parking lot, and for whatever reason, the bystanders around them start live streaming their fight. And during this fight, it comes out that Mandy was only tutoring Graham initially to get the letter of rec from his father.
Oh, and then he watches the live stream.
He watches the live stream, he sees that, and you know what? He whips out a letter of recommendation and gives it to Mandy because I guess his dad wrote her one anyway, even though she told him no, like she didn't want one. I don't think she even mentioned a letter of recommendation at all, but he just knew subconsciously that she wanted one, wrote one, and gave it to her without her asking. Graham and Mandy break up. They were never dating, but they break up. Prom is off for them, and his parting words were, because he felt like he got played, I really am a Neanderthal. So now, it's the big day of prom. Ben is mad at Mandy because she broke the prom pact. Graham is mad at Mandy because he thinks that she was playing him the whole time. LaToya is mad at Ben because he turned her down because of the prom pact. Everybody's mad at everybody on the day of prom. Mandy ended up doing the whole like classic boombox apology thing for Ben to make him feel better. She went to his window, was playing some songs, dancing. She asked him to prom. And so now Ben was like, okay, fine, I forgive you. And then the two of them decide to go to prom together. Do you want to guess who you think the prom king and queen are?
You know what? Let's just say Mindy and Ben.
You know what? That would have been interesting. But it was actually LaToya and Ben. Because of that, LaToya and Ben patched things up and they started dating. Mandy and Graham don't patch things up at prom though. They're still not on speaking terms. But it's at this point, with like 5 to 10 minutes left in the movie, where Mandy realizes, oh wait, I haven't checked my Harvard portal in a while. So she refreshes it. Do you think she got in?
I think because it's a Disney movie and no one deserves any consequences for their negative actions, I think she gets a wonderful ending and she gets to Harvard.
That would be correct.
What?
She gets in.
Have I gotten any right at all?
It turns out that Mandy's lovely guidance counselor submitted like her own letter of rec, and that ended up doing the trick. Mandy is salutatorian, not valedictorian, because she got a 94 in PE. But during her speech, I didn't really know salutatorians make a speech, but I guess they do. In her speech, she publicly thanks Graham in it. So afterwards, at the like graduation celebration, they part ways amicably. They're friends now, I guess. We get to the final scene. The final scene, Mandy is happily at this coffee shop in Boston. She's like wearing her Harvard sweatshirt. She looks like she's killing it. But guess who walks in through the coffee shop doors?
Please be Graham. Graham went to this school the whole time.
My man, Graham. Well, turns out he's taking a gap year in Boston. So when they see each other, after a few words, they kiss, like no time at all has passed. And the two live happily ever after, the end.
This was a wonderful representation of the middle school drama experience. Unfortunately, it was set in high school, but you know what? I loved it.
So that was a really wild ride.
All right, everyone on the internet, if you enjoyed that, you know, rollicking adventure, then you'll probably love a video on my YouTube channel titled Keyan Carlisle's YouTube channel, where I explain to Amanda here the plot of the hit film The Slumber Party, which, spoiler alert, is a plot point for plot point, character for character remake of The Hangover, but for children. Come check it out!
Yes, and subscribe to him because his name isn't Kyle. So, their parents allowed this random man to go down into a basement full of young girls and hypnotize them, and then the next morning, they have no recollection of what happened the night before?
Yes.